see this video, already you know what is in there. As I understand, the conference where it's supposed to be shown has also have been sued.
Well, I believe in the rule of law, so my personal views would fade to the background based on the principles of law that may be in play right now. My view is very simple, that if indeed there are people in there who are innocent, Ghanaians ought to see circumstances under which you may be caught in a situation in which you are innocent, but you ought to have acted smarter or wiser. So there's a lesson for the person caught on the video. There's a lesson for all of us in the future, that I should not have admitted these people into my house at all, let alone leave something on my table for me to say I didn't pick it up. Ghanaians ought to know about this. Now, there's a whole issue about prejudicial value, etc., etc. Let's weigh this well. Who is going to be prejudiced? The judge?
Yes, that's the point.
But the judge will see the evidence in court. So the fact that it's shown before the judge watches it, which prejudice are we talking about, or the people? Listen, the basic rule of evidence, of admitting relevant evidence, is section 52. Probative value, prejudicial value. It's all a scale, it's all a weight. What is the prejudicial value? Is the prejudicial value of tendering that evidence into court. We can get into the doctrine of fair trial under Article 19, linked to Section 6 of the European Convention on Human Rights. That fair trial includes that such evidence.
African human rights.
You don't have any authority.
Okay.
You don't have any decided authority.
Just hold on for me.
So we might have to go there. And
Hold on for me.
In fact, he was part of the panel that interviewed me. In fact, he personally headhunted me to teach at the law school. But I vehemently disagree with him. I mean, I'm sorry, but I taught in the school with him when there were many issues arising of corruption, bad deeds in the school. Did he resign? You see, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, and the buck stops with her. Or is he suggesting that for the 20 who rejected the bribes, the Chief Justice should be promoted? The balance doesn't work. I'm sorry. The logic, with utmost respect to him, is dubious. And I think that he has, maybe we should let the story unfold a little bit more. Maybe when Anas finally gets to speak, we might give a lot of credit to people to whom we had a lot of discredit is being painted now. But I do
Anas
not
will
find,
be on this show.
Yeah, I do not find, ask Anas how he began this investigation.
Right.
Ask him if he will tell you.
I will.
Who suggested to him and what he did under those circumstances. Then we'll find that some of these allegations really do not have basis. Okay? Here it is, an investigation has been done over 2 years, but corruption didn't start 2 years ago. It is only that one man, Anas, having been called to the bar, decided to do this investigation to help all of us who had been at the bar all of these years. He's been on the bar longer than all of us, much longer than me. It took Anas a couple of days after he was called to the bar to decide to do this. What does this say about all of us who have been practicing there? And so sometimes I think that we should be, all I'm saying is that, ladies and gentlemen, let's be measured. Let's all take it easy. Let the system play out. But to jump immediately to say that the Chief Justice should resign, not that she's been found culpable, but some judges in the court have been found to, and in fact, nobody's been convicted yet. They are still going through the process. She should resign. I mean, I'm sorry, not even in the so-called civilized democracies. I hate to use that word. Will this happen? If the person has been caught, the person should stew in his own juices. If an investigation is established, which shows that actually the Chief Justice has been derelict in her duties, she's been negligent, she has allowed this to go on and gone unpunished, then maybe a call for her to step aside will be right. But if you read cases like Ansuji Abo versus the Chief Justice and others, which show that she has been taking these steps as and when she has received evidence, she's not the police. She has tried. Look, I'll tell you something. There was a time they even did a sting operation on a judge with her backing, where they took money into a judge's house. Right? They took money to a judge's house. When they went to a judge's house, they couldn't find the money. What was she going to do? What was she going to do?
The money flew.
The money, either it wasn't given to him, the people who were giving the money pocketed it, or the money disappeared. What else do you expect her to do? Look, this corruption thing has been there. You've seen some of my writings. Right from when I started, there's a smell of it, but corruption is fluid. Yeah. It's difficult to get hard evidence of corruption because neither the corruptor nor the corrupted will step up to speak about something that happened in private. Here we have the alleged corruptor putting out the video and suddenly the Chief Justice might resign. The logic, I'm sorry.
Tell me what you see of the future of Ghana's judiciary. But first of all, what do you say to those who say these judges have committed crimes and ought to be prosecuted?
Well, I think that let the investigation continue. I think there should be a parallel investigation. the police should be doing their own investigations as well. While the Chief Justice handles the civil aspect of it, I think the police should start their own investigation. People say it's ironic that the police will be investigating this, but hey, that's all we have. Yes. The police have to start their own investigation.
Because people's concerns are that if it were some ordinary Ghanaian, they would have been arrested and they will be in jail, they will be in custody by now while the process is going on. Well, and some of them are getting angry. They say, look, you've left them, they are sitting in their homes and they still have the effrontery to go to court to file one case or the other.
I've always been against the system where the police arrest first and investigate later. So that's why I'm saying we ought to be learning. It is wrong for the police to arrest and go to court to say, deny the person bail, so I investigate the matter. And I have made
the breeding grounds for corruption.
For corruption. So we have made this point time and again. And so if we don't do it with respect to these judges, then we begin to ask judges, grant bail and let the police go and investigate. That arrest first, investigate later ought to be more the exception than the rule.
But prosecutions must happen.
If the police and the AG's department sit down and look at the law and find out that indeed there has been corruption by a public officer, there's been extortion by a public officer, and these are public officers without doubt, then I think
I thought that there's a provision in Act 29 for judicial corruption.
Oh, there's a specific one. There's a specific one for judicial corruption.
What I saw, yes. I don't see extortion.
Some of them demanded.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What I saw.
We've all seen
relative, isn't it? So it would depend on what definition exactly.
But there's definitely extortion, corruption. If there is, then prosecutions ought to happen. It's a painful thing to look at, but they ought to happen. The people of Ghana need their confidence rebuilt.
What do you say of the future of the judiciary, looking at how the issue is being handled?
Things will change. Things have got to change. Let's deal with the symptoms, but let's go to the root of it. We need some serious institutional reforms. There are things in our rules which fester corruption. If you provide in the rules of court that if a person applies to pay a judgment debt by installment, the judge will decide whether or not that goes with interest. You are providing a means for corruption, wittingly and unwittingly. We need to sit down and look at all the circumstances that we have created. That if I owe you and you take judgment against me, and I apply to the court that, yes, although you have judgment against me, allow me to pay in monthly installments. The judge then has a discretion to decide whether those installmental payments attract interest. Isn't that a recipe for corruption? If I give a portion to him, we are home and dry. So we need to address all of those instances that allow room for this to fester. And that is an institutional reform that must happen. And if that doesn't happen, the executive would have failed this nation, the head of the judiciary would have failed this nation. Then maybe it would be right to ask for resignation, but not this premature call for resignation. I'm sorry, Mr. Sanfai.
Let's talk about how the international community will see our justice system going forward.
If we don't fix it, if we just allow it to go, then we would have lost and we may never recover it. Let this be the generation of Ghanaians that fix the system. God has given us a great opportunity to fix it. Let's see if we will. And all of us sitting here, and all of Ghanaians, and people in leadership have a duty to ensure that we fix this system. The system which allows corruption to breed. The system of checking road speed. And it is wiser to give the policeman 10 cedis and go home than to go to court 6 times and be fined 100 cedis. Why don't we have spot fines? I understand that Soft Tribe or some of these people have designed it. Why are we not adopting it? So that if I'm caught doing 60 in a 55 zone, I'm given the ticket and I must pay. We can fix this nation, but we have allowed so much human interventions in the system which feeds people. Why must it take me 5 years to register my land when it takes my client 2 weeks on a defective title? We must fix the system, and the more we take human beings out of it, mechanize it. Of course, it doesn't automatically take it out because after all, people were forging exam results to go to Wesley Girls, and you were caught and arrested and tried and prosecuted. So let's fix the system. Look, Mr. President, Madam Chief Justice, you have a great opportunity to fix this nation. Let history be written to say that it was in your turn that we began to fix this nation. Else, posterity will look at you and say that you are the most failed leaders this country ever had. And I'll sing it too.
Very interesting.
And I'm sure both people you've mentioned would actually want to see their names being etched in the sands of time. That indeed in their time and that they are watched.
Justice
I
don't, but I'm not sure about the
I'm deliberately not picking up on your issues to do with these political connotations.
I don't know if you have had the opportunity.
Especially on this particular subject, I've deliberately ignored your undertones of politics. Deliberately, yes, because as a senior member of the bar, I must conduct myself in a certain way, especially when we are discussing a sensitive subject of the chance
to listen, to tune in
to some
of these.
When the time comes, we can do
Sorry, have you had the chance to tune into some of these Chi stations or Akan-speaking, local language-speaking stations, or even some of the English stations, English-speaking radio stations and broadcast network, you would have heard them say the unprintable about the judiciary, and even now seek to advertise consulting the oracle. And there's even in one of the papers, I think the Chronicle, where a man is boasting about how the best form of justice, you know, is to go somewhere rather than the courts. You feel worried about that?
Oh, not really. Once upon a time, we were invited to try chemical interrogation when our jurisdiction does not accommodate that. These things are just part of those things. I don't think we should focus too much on it. Even before this exposure, people were going to Antoine and all. Have you forgotten Antoine Yama, all those things? It's not a big deal. Let's focus on this.
You're saying people will not lose confidence in the system?
No, no. This
the Chief Justice said that confidence in the system is at its lowest ebb.
Yeah, but this is meant to cure it. This exposure, not just exclusively, but with other things, as indicated here, institutional reforms and all the rest. This is a critical part.
Right.
To play a catalytic role in the process of transformation. So I think we should rather be hopeful. No, Ace made a certain point, which was about some clerks, you know, may seek to drag some people along. It's true, it's out there, there's a potential for that, but it will be a Herculean tax because they would have to back what they say with something of evidential value. In the absence of a video footage, some of them will have a very serious challenge. But I am aware that some of those administrative staff are claiming that if they are dragged through the process in a negative way, that goes against that. They may drag some people who are even upstairs, beyond the high court level. So it's there. But you see, there are a few things, I mean, listen carefully.
What you just said, does that not suggest that the process may be compromised because
which process?
For the sake of not opening the wounds that these people may want to bring up?
First of all, we don't know which. I haven't mentioned names in terms of.
Yes, you have not. That about the fact that they will mention people even upstairs.
Yeah, if it does happen, I won't be sad at all. We are cleaning the system. It is for good reasons, strategic reasons, that the thing began at a certain stage. If Anas had decided to go all over, he might have finished in about 3 or 4 or 5 years' time. So it's a focused thing, step by step. But the point I was making, you know, that's what was it? It's a prohibitive ex parte
communication.
Yes. Yeah. In my mind's eye, no technicality can defend anybody relative to that. Maybe I'll be wrong, but as a layman, I don't see any technicality.
The law is 90% common sense.
So that is clear in my mind. That there are, because I'm saying this because I've heard some people say, oh, I didn't take the money. Some said, oh, I took the money, but if you look at the result, the suspect or the accused is still in jail. So it means that I didn't get influence. But I'm saying that sometimes you can take the money and do the reverse. There's a case like that where somebody was supposed to have collected the money, didn't do what the other party expected, and that is what provoked the party to lodge a complaint. No? So the idea which is being put out there by some of
Is it the Ansujabo case you are referring to? In his case, he had left that court, right? So the fear was that since he was not there, they won't get what they wanted.
So, but the deterrence effect of this, whilst we talk of institutional reforms and all the rest, now I think judges may be more minded to focus on the law and deal with the merits of the case rather than... The last point is about the Chief Justice. This principle of ultimate responsibility, if you make an absolute out of it, you can create problems for all sorts of persons. But you see, this Chief Justice, and last week I read, I don't want to repeat them, under her administration, we've had some lawyers, like judges, who've been impeached, who've been dismissed. I read the names here, so I don't think I should repeat them. part of it was this Ansu Giaboman, who then proceeded to challenge the case.
Right.
So here, the Chris Akome case, after they had given Akome the opportunity to bring the evidence, and he couldn't, this matter was referred in a letter dated June 2nd, 2011, to the Director, Criminal Investigations Department, Police Headquarters. And all the appropriate documentation that Judicial Service had was given to the police to investigate. This is a sign of a CJ that decided that, look, there's an allegation made. Let me interrogate it. Let me give it to the appropriate authorities to do, after Chris failed to cooperate with the Judicial Council. So it's very difficult for me to, run with this and suggest that she ought to resign or ought to be indicted for whatever thing that's gone wrong. Then there's a last point I'm making. ANAS has not submitted an edited video evidence to the committee. Okay. Whatever is there is the raw one. That should be made clear. You're saying this because Justice Mensah is challenging so it and saying that he has edited videos. A lot of people are saying so.
Even the general public believes that it's been
edited. In his case on the cocoa board, the one cocoa board sponsored, the cocoa smuggling, if you go into the ruling, the judgment, you realize that in court, ANAS sent the raw material as well as the documentary. The documentary is always different from the raw material because you are showing to the public, you do some few things. Let me read a paragraph where the judge in passenger is Bright Mason. He says, I also want to put on record that the documentary Exhibit B was very prejudicial to the case of the defense. Exhibit B contains some foreign and extraneous matters like articulators loaded with cocoa passing on tarred streets. At the same time, there were street lights in Exhibit B, when indeed the places where the accused persons carried their duties did not have street lights or tarred roads. To do substantial justice in the matter and guided by Section 52 of the Evidence Act, NRC D 323, I excluded Exhibit B in evaluating the evidence, but relied on Exhibit A, that's a raw one. The principle was enunciated in Bonso and Benjilo versus Republic, 1998-99, Supreme Court, and so that normally all relevant evidence would be admissible. However, under Section 52 of NRC 323, the court ought to exclude evidence, however relevant, if it was prejudicial against the accused. The documentary that might be shown, yes, thank you. But the raw, the crude one, which is before the committee, and which obviously, if we have to get to the stage of prosecution and all that, it is the raw evidence.
Hundreds of hours.
That will be brought, and those judges who have been called to view, they are viewing unedited, raw scenes of where they are captured. That should be made clear to the public.
Okay. In fact, the truth also is that in evidence, electronic evidence, issues arise when they are being tendered. There's a chain of custody even comes up. So if the raw, as the crude one, as Kukubako is calling it, if it's been tampered with in so many instances, it may even create problems. That's so right. the best evidence rule under such circumstances is to actually have the raw uncut one.
Just to reinforce, that's why one of the screenings, you saw a kid.
Yes, that's right.
That's a raw. That's why we spoke about. If it's going to be in a documentary form,
misconstrued.
The face will be blocked.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, which people misconstrued, because when I saw a minor in it, I came and I told the media that, look, if this video is going to be shown, for instance, then something should be done to take that child out.
But if he had blocked it before sending it to the committee, that would mean...
Of course, the defense can take advantage of it and say, look,
messages here, a few messages here. Norbert in Pram says that, do I have a future as a Ghanaian? Our judges must be sacrosanct as regards the law and must ensure that the rights and freedoms of all Ghanaians are protected irrespective of their status in society. Also, from Kwame, he says that listening to Egbert, he suspects that Egbert has cases pending before some of these judges and fears the current process will stall the proceedings. Is that your fear?
This is a very, 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 if you like, I wouldn't say, actually ignore it. I mean, why? That's okay. Mr. Nkrumah not have cases before some of the judges.
Ignore.
Don't you have cases before some of the judges?
I do. In fact, some of them I'm thinking what is going to happen.
So what will it do to me?
I'm thinking what is going to happen going forward.
How prepare record to be adopted.
Okay.
You see, these are the kind of beer bar analysis that I was talking about.
Right.
And here, you have
drinkers of beer will take it.
Right.
Oh, but I mean, look, you are entitled to drink beer, but when you are booze, don't make analysis.
Maybe I should have exercised the discretion not to have read that one. This one says, I think Mr. Bako has raised a very serious concern about the conduct of the lawyer. He claims was begging behind the scenes for Anas to have mercy and tamper with the evidence on behalf of his client. In these times, such a conduct cannot be allowed to be swept under the carpet. Please, Mr. Bako, expose that lawyer. That matter must be urgently looked into. This is coming from Yao.
You want to go through due process.
Okay. No amount of legal gymnastics would save these judges who have shown the whole world that they are corrupt. They can even go to the ICC. We would wait patiently. I just can't wait to see them go to jail one by one and be welcomed by those they took money to jail wrongly. This is from Nene in Dansoman. And a very final one here from Paul Wadier. He says, again, and not unsurprisingly, we are balking at the opportunity to cleanse our rotting society. For heaven's sake, this is a crisis situation. Let the sanctimonious legal luminaries spare us the lecture. And for once, let us act to rebuild this broken country. Thank you for your messages.
I think that we need to keep still drumming it home for the entirety of Ghanaians that, yes, we are all entitled to our views.
Right.
But one thing I would die for is the fact that due process is a sacrament of the law in Ghana.
Right.
And if you profess due process, then you cannot but allow people to go through the sacramental, strictures of the law.
You're right. But let's please, people of Ghana, please. If the tree gets poisoned, its fruit will be poisoned.
Definitely.
We must allow the process to work. If we don't, we might rush to judgment and the guilty will walk. Please, people, it is when a court has convicted that there is a conviction. Your personal conviction doesn't send the person to jail. We must go through the process. The evidence must be tested. If it stands, the law will take its course. If we rush it, we mess it up and nothing will happen. Please, take it easy.
I agree. We shouldn't hunt cats.
Yeah.
Or even hunt any sort of animal for
That's a fantastic
note.
That's a fantastic note to,
But you see, what people
to
are worried
conclude
about,
on this subject.
Yes. But what people are worried about is that, you lawyers, why are you not saying this? When they were showing the SEPS ones, when they were showing the cocoa one and all those things.
The one at the port as well.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a fair justification, I understand.
And don't forget that those ones were also handled through the same process.
But they went to court.
But
it's showing. But you see, what I want to say to that is that much as those people have a legitimate basis to say that, I will beg of those people, they should bring me any law that says that when a SEPS officer or a cocoa board staff or whoever is found prima facie in such cases, he should go through the kind of process that the High Court judge will go through. That High Court judge will go through. There's no such provision. So if the Constitution says that with respect to High Court judges, when you want to start to remove them, they must go through a certain hearing in camera.
Shock therapy.
Yes.
That's what some of us are.
You might go through, the Constitution only regulates the civil process.
Not the criminal.
But the criminal process will be open court. In fact, yes. So wait, for the High Court judges, maybe there may be a clamp on it now. And I understand that Ansudia will be tested again to see whether this will go today. Will arrive at the same conclusion. But if there's a criminal trial, there's no provision in the Constitution for that. And so it will not be in camera. So the information will be out there. It's only for a while.
Thank you very much. And taking a break on this note where someone has nicely, sort of summarized where we have come to as far as the discussion is concerned. Jake says that, yes, he says that, that it's all free legal education today. law of evidence, constitutional law, law of tort, criminal law and procedure, etc. Mr. Fable, Isankoma, Joyce, and all are making issues look simpler than it is. At the end, all panelists conclude, let us allow the process to continue. We'll be right back to ask why the police would subdue a man they claim is breaching the law, or a man they claim is breaching the law will surrender, and yet they will not arrest them, rather they will whip them with horse whips. We'll be right back.